Rukam, scientifically recognized as Garcinia picroregia, is a lesser-known but culturally significant tropical fruit in Southeast Asia, particularly Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and surrounding island regions. Also widely called governor's plum, Rukam stands out due to its distinctive purple coloration at full maturity, its acidic bite, and its deep connection to village agronomy, folk medicine, and household preservation traditions. The Rukam tree is a hardy, evergreen species capable of thriving in humid lowlands as well as moderately drier, sandy soils. This resilience historically made the tree valuable in rural farmlands, acting as a boundary marker, a shade tree, and a stable seasonal resource. Its fruits mature into small rounded, marble-sized plums that transition in color from green to red-brown and finally deep purple, with a waxy skin and a fibrous, pale yellow interior. The pulp is sharply sour when eaten raw, a distinctive characteristic that shaped its culinary and cultural use. Women and children in traditional farming communities often collected Rukam at the end of rainy seasons. The fruits were frequently preserved using salt curing, where the sourness mellowed and complex flavor notes emerged. A major historical use was pickling, an approach that became standard because Rukam's high acidity, tannins, and natural polyphenols allowed long-term storage without artificial preservatives. Pickled Rukam remains a nostalgic food memory for many older generations across island villages. Medicinally, Rukam has been included in traditional herbal scripts as a fruit associated with digestive regulation. Its astringent pulp was considered useful for reducing mild intestinal irritation, and decoctions from the bark and leaves were historically given as home remedies. In early Southeast Asian ethnobotanical notes, Rukam extracts were described as cooling stomach tonics and were recommended during seasonal fevers and post-harvest fatigue periods. In some regions, the fruit pulp was crushed and applied topically as part of ceremonial healing preparations. The flavor of Rukam is defined primarily by organic acids, especially malic acid and several polyphenolic tannins. Only when the fruit overripens does sweetness appear, and even then, sweetness remains subtle. This acidic intensity made Rukam ideal for culinary pairing with salted fish, coconut-based curries, and deep-fried root crops in coastal Southeast Asia. Local recipes often combined Rukam with chili paste, palm sugar, and tamarind, creating sweet-sour condiments. Drying Rukam was another preservation method. When exposed to the sun for several days, water evaporation concentrated sugars and softened acidity. Dried Rukam became similar in application to dried sour plums used in Middle Eastern cuisine, although flavor remained earthier and more herbal. Dried samples were stored in clay containers layered with palm ash, both for hygiene and symbolic completeness. Economically, Rukam rarely entered major fruit markets due to limited sweetness, but its value lay in household-level processing. Many villages exchanged preserved Rukam jars during festivals, weddings, and harvest celebrations. In certain maritime trade archives, Rukam-based chutneys were recorded as barter goods traveling between islands. Agronomically, the tree displays slow but steady growth, producing fruit reliably over decades. Farmers historically propagated Rukam using seeds from overripe fruits, allowing genetic diversity and adaptation to soil and climate conditions without structured breeding programs. Modern nutritional research has shown that Rukam contains notable antioxidant levels, specifically flavonoids, procyanidins, and phenolic acids. Early academic papers classify Rukam among beneficial, functional sour fruits, particularly when fermented. The fermentation process reduces bitterness and increases bioavailability of certain compounds, leading researchers to recommend the fruit for probiotic-style chutneys, fermented beverages, and artisanal vinegars. Rukam also has symbolic value, although not as mythically charged as rowan or fig. It appears in folk narratives describing resilience during food-scarce periods. The fruit was often associated with resourcefulness because households that preserved Rukam rarely faced seasonal shortages of acidic components needed in cooking. In recent years, specialty food entrepreneurs rediscovered Rukam in heritage food festivals, prompting interest in organic cultivation, boutique pickling workshops, and digital recipe archiving. Rukam-infused sauces have appeared in niche restaurants serving modernized Southeast Asian menus. Despite rising visibility, the fruit remains largely unknown outside its native regions, preserving its identity as a deeply local, historically grounded agricultural product. Ultimately, Rukam represents a bridge between ancient household preservation knowledge, nutritional diversity, and sustainable cultivation. It may never dominate commercial fruit markets, but its cultural architecture, rooted in taste memory, family tradition, and medicinal folklore, ensures its legacy survives far beyond its small size.